time that my journey takes is long, and the way of it is long. I came out on the chariot of the first gleam of light and pursued my voyage through the wilderness of worlds, leaving my track on many a star and planet. It is the most distant course that comes nearest to yourself, and that training is the most intricate, which leads to the utter simplicity of a tune. What is time? Is it a fixed canvas on which your life happens? And because it is fixed, there is a clear beginning and an end to what you recognize as your life. Or is this canvas a pure illusion? Is time an entity by itself, or is it just a perception that is created by your mind? It is because you are thinking and you cannot think about everything at the same time, and you think about different things many a times in some sequence, some order. Does this give a false perception of moving through time? Why is this important to understand? Because if time is fixed, then there's not much for you to worry about in terms of how much responsibility you have to take for your own liberation, for your own sense of understanding of life. Because something is fixed and you are just a moving painting on that fixed landscape. It is the landscape that determines your birth and death. While you're there, just enjoy the painting. Don't worry too much about things that are fixed, like time, like space, eternity, life, existence. But what if time isn't fixed? What if it isn't real at all? Then, to put it mildly, you are done. If you do not take care of the responsibility, if you don't control what is happening inside, if you do not move towards a deeper understanding of life, then there is no end to this process. A deeper understanding of the nature of reality clearly shows that time is an illusion. It is purely perceptual. It is relative. There is nothing fixed about time. That is why 10 minutes is never 10 minutes. It all depends on what you're doing, where you are, how you're experiencing those 10 minutes. 10 minutes is 10 minutes only for a lifeless, mechanical, man-made clock. For a living entity, there is no such thing as 10 minutes. A living thing can experience 10 minutes as 10 seconds or 10 hours or 10 days. That in itself says there is no fixed canvas. Now, if there is no fixed canvas of time, how long have you actually been here? How long is your journey of life? And how do you understand reincarnation? How do you understand the idea of coming back again and again to the cycle of life, the samsara of life? If you actually think about it, it is this belief that there is a time, fixed time outside and beyond me, is what gives you a sense of false comfort. That no matter what I am doing, no matter how I am interacting with life, because something is fixed, it will take care of certain things. And more often than not, we put the responsibility of understanding life onto this mysterious imaginary entity called time. Time will take care of things. Time will reveal the answer. Time will put an end to my misery. What if time is not real? Then all this is false. Time will not solve your problems. Time will not take care of you. Time will not end your suffering and misery. Because it doesn't even exist. The moment you see life as something that is happening because you want it to happen, not consciously choosing to happen, because you are there, consciously or unconsciously, your thinking is very personal. It is not happening somewhere on some imaginary canvas. It is very real. And everything you think about has some personal connection to that ultimate thing that you're searching for, a way out of life. Because life is not a place. Life is not an experience through time. Life is a falling into a rabbit hole. Unless you realize, you become aware that you're falling, there is no end to this falling. This is such a rabbit hole which has no end. You can keep on falling for all eternity because there is no time, there's no end to this eternity. Quite literally, eternity is another way of saying there is no such thing as time. The cycle of birth and death, the cycle of dreaming and desiring, the cycle of falling and getting up never ends unless you, as an independent entity aware of its own existence, does something about recognizing this process and consciously waking up. Unless you do something about it, you are stuck in this cycle. In this sense, it is impossible to say how long you've been here. You might have been here for such a long time, going through the same process of dreaming and desiring. If you actually knew how long this is, it will totally scare you. It will make you stop and think about everything you're doing. It will immediately put you in a state of being where you cannot simply keep on moving. something suddenly stops you and says, well, there is no end to this movement. Because there's no time, do you want to be doing this forever and ever? Now, here is the tricky part. Even if you were to imagine that I can somehow see that I cannot hold on to this form forever. This form is changing. And when I die, my dreaming and desiring can manifest itself as something else entirely. You might think, I may not even know about it. Just like you don't know your past life now, you would not know your past life in your next life. Then you might ask, what is the problem? I would live that life as a new life, just the way I'm living this life, without having to worry about this continuity. But the continuity is real. Whether you know it or not, the seed of life is taking birth again and again. And it is continuing. If someone were to tell you that you would be put in this prison where every day you wake up, you will forget all about the previous day. But you will be in this prison for all eternity. You have to figure out how to unlock the gates of this prison and get out in this one day. The time that you have is one day. If you do not figure it out, then the next day you have to start all over again. Because something would have changed. It is such a landscape where the lock changes a little bit. The gates change a little bit. The key changes a little bit. And you have no memory of having worked on it. So what do? You wake up again. Again, you have to figure out newly how to unlock this gate. Now, would you call that forgetfulness of your previous day a blessing or a curse? It is an absolute curse. At least if you can remember something, you can continue. As an action, you can remember nothing. What continues is just the essence of your being. Only the non-action and how much of non-action you have performed, how much of silence, how much of stillness, how much of beingness you have connected to, that is the only thing that continues. All your actions are reset after death because it is a new form. New form has to be trained newly. New habits, new desires, and the same forgetfulness. Life is that beautiful, magical, enchanting prison where you wake up and you forget all about your previous day, which is your previous life. And then you are trying to figure out what life is within that limited time you're given. Your life. Or one day. You have to learn about yourself. You will have to learn about people. You will have to learn about why you're there. And you have to do it all by yourself. Unless you get lucky and find someone to help you, you are stuck. This is the reality of life. Forgetfulness is never a blessing. It only appears to be a blessing. Oh, it's good that I don't remember what I was in my previous life. But the problem with that is there is no end to this cycle. That is why he says, The time that my journey takes is long, and the way of it is long. I came out on the chariot of the first gleam of light and pursued my voyage through the wilderness of worlds, leaving my track on many a star and planet. It is the most distant course that comes nearest to yourself, and that training is the most intricate, which leads to the utter simplicity of a tune. All you're moving away from the center. The farther you go, if you understand why you're going, what is pushing you farther and farther, that will eventually get you closest to the truth. It is this lack of understanding of the continuity of life, that you did not take birth just a few decades ago. You are life itself. You have always been here.